That looks pretty cool. Don't you want to be on that screen? I want you to be on that screen. Hi guys. Well, I am so extremely proud of you guys that you are ready to take the ACA certification exam. So in order to get us started, make sure that you check your student email because I gave you a link and some instructions on how to go in and download that software. So we're going to go through quite a few steps. All right. I'm going to take a second and show my screen. Registering a new profile. Step 1, to begin, you're going to navigate to the Certiport website. And this has a link, and this will be in your Google Classroom for you, okay? So click. We're going to go to the link, log in, register. You are a new user, so you're going to go in here and hit register. And then you get this shebang. So your preferred language is English. Your country or region, put the United States. Candidate agreement. Okay, so this agreement is entered into between you as a test taker, because you're going to take the test, Certiport, the company that puts the test together, and your testing program owner or test sponsor. What's up? Your understanding and acceptance of privacy policy and cookies policy. You understand and agree that Certiport is a data processor for your test sponsor. Storage practices, it is going to store stuff on your computer. I'll actually show you when I did the Certiport test last year, it downloaded these files into my computer. But you can see here's a whole bunch of different documents from last year, icons, pictures that they used, basically any file that they use in this test, it gets loaded onto your computer. And you're 100% more than welcome to get rid of it once you're done taking your test, but obviously I found them useful. Getting back to the point, so basically you're going to agree and sign your life away or else you don't get to play. Next, you are going to enter the CAPTCHA below. If you guys never knew, this is called a CAPTCHA, but I'm sure you do. I'm the dinosaur here. All right, and then we're going to hit next. And it shall take us to the next screen. So we start filling all this good stuff out. All right, you're going to put in your first name. You're going to put in your last name. Notice these little red star majiggers. They are required fields. If it does not have a star majigger, you don't need to click that field. Let's see, birth date. Next thing that you're going to do is you're going to make yourself a username and password. Do not forget your username and password. I don't know. Please don't lose this because I cannot fix it for you when you screw up. If you screw up. Sorry, if. Maybe get a little note card or something, write it down on there, tape it to your computer, whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you don't lose that, you'll write those. And then next, just in case you do forget your password, there are security questions, okay? So security question 1, what city or town were you born in? Mother's maiden name, blah, 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 all different things you think you might remember. That it's case sensitive, meaning if you do an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter, it remembers that. So keep that in mind as well. You're going to make those 2, and then you're going to hit next. What that means in plain English is next year when you take, if you're a first year, next year when you take your Adobe InDesign, it saves all this data for you and you just log in. You don't have to do this re-registering everything, and then it keeps track of all the certifications that you have. So that's kind of cool. And that way, when you need to get recertified in 3 years for Adobe Illustrator, well, it tells you that. So you're like, my certification's almost up. Let's go in and retest. Personal information. On the personal information page, you will enter your contact email address. Do not put in the school email address, especially if you're a senior this year, okay? Because you know how technology, well, they like to change things up, all right? They like to keep you guessing. They like to give themselves purpose, don't we all? But what that means is they will probably change the passwords, they'll probably change your email, and you won't be able to get back to this stuff. As a matter of fact, the students who tested last year, they can't get back to their stuff because all their accounts are locked out. And even though they thought they would be able to use the accounts again, remember all the email accounts were changed to whatever your student ID number is, at secondary.musd20.org. Well, this year they took out the secondary part, so it's a totally new email. So long story short, personal email, one that you will have for many years to come. So maybe, hey, Brian Pick, what's up? So maybe what you want to do is brianpick@gmail.com, okay, because that's your email. Don't steal his, all right? You don't want like side streak, or also your mailing address, okay, where you live. What they're going to do with this mailing address is they're going to be sending you your certification packet. With my certification packet, I got a cool like cardstock certification, and it was like all pretty colors and nicely printed. And I also got this cute little pin that said I was an Adobe Certified Associate. So that's fun stuff to put in a resume. My materials took about 4 months to get emailed back to me, or to get physically mailed to me. So think about that. Alternate mailing address. So for example, you know for a fact you're definitely going to be moving, your family's going to be moving. Maybe this is where you put in grandma's address because you don't actually know if you're going to move or not. Number 7 is complete the profile demographic. Are you currently enrolled as a student, part-time or full-time? Yes. Okay, you are. The answer to that one is yes. Are you currently employed? Are you? I don't know. Are you male or female? When you click submit, that button right there, on the profile page, your account will be created and you will be sent an email confirmation. This is why you need to use your personal email. All right, that will have the username that you are supposed to be using, which it'll probably be what you put in. Complete the purpose page. All right, choose a purpose. Welcome to Certiport, and then it'll say your name. This one says Sean. Please tell us what you would like to do next, and please select at least one. Number 1, would you like to take an exam or prepare for an exam? So you're going to take an exam, okay? And then you'll hit next. You have registered. We're done. Okay, so step number 1, you need to download the software and make sure you download the correct software. So there's Mac software, there's Windows software. Which kind of computer do you have? You need to download the right one. Then next, there's Adobe software based on which software you already have downloaded into your computer. So do you have Adobe 2018? Do you have the new 2019? So once you finish that program of registration, you're going to go in and register for which program you want to register for. They have 95 million different kinds of tests you can register for. You are only interested in the Adobe Certified Associate in Illustrator. Okay, you're not interested in any of the other ones right now. So you're going to scroll down and you're going to look for Adobe. You're going to look for the Adobe Certified Associates, and there are going to be about like 8 or 10 Adobe Certified Associates. So you want to make sure you pick the one for Illustrator, okay? And then once you find that, you're going to hit register. When you have finished registering with each desired program provider, you're only going to do one, and have accepted the corresponding NDAs, just click next. Note, the profile page can be accessed at any time to register for additional programs. So once you're registered, you can take as many tests as you want. Just keep in mind they cost. Okay, the final page in the user registration pathway is the summary page. If you have completed all of the steps in the pathway, you may click finish. All right, if something is not finished, it's probably gonna, I don't know, be red or not have a check mark there. After the summary page, you're going to be signed into the website for the first time and be taken to the home page of the testing candidate role. So notice how we see the web page here. You're going to see welcome, and you're going to see a drop-down menu. So if it's not on test candidate, make sure it is. Next, I will be giving you a testing voucher. It is a series of letters and numbers and dashes. So every single testing voucher is different. Taking an exam requires that you have an exam voucher. I already purchased them. You don't need to buy them. The vouchers that I have purchased for you, actually also, you probably don't need it, but just in case, they allow for a retake. So if by chance you go through this test, you just, whoa, like had no idea what you were doing, you were overwhelmed, you weren't ready for it, and you fail, well, you can go back a minimum of 24 hours later and you can take the test again. Okay, you can go back online, you can study. Remember what questions they were where you just had no freaking clue how to do them, and let me know and we'll go over them, okay? You're going to be typing in your voucher code, and then you're going to assign the voucher or license, and then, ladies and gentlemen, the test begins. So you have already downloaded Compass, right? You've downloaded the right kind, and you've registered online. Before you take the test, there is something really important we need to do, because if we do not do it, well, your test might just glitch and turn off on you in the middle of the test. And then you're freaking out. You're trying to get back to the test. And you know what? Sometimes the clock stops and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, there's a couple safeguards we've got to do to make sure that your computer is working properly. And this is where our really light coding comes in, okay? You are going to get this email from me next. Once you have downloaded the Compass software, follow the instructions below. Blue instructions are if you have a Windows computer. Red instructions are if you have a Mac computer. Okay, if you don't know, you probably have a Windows computer unless there's a big apple on the back. I don't know. Warning, if you don't do these steps, we had an issue. It was bad. Their computers were crashing. They were freaking out, stressing out. A couple of people were crying. It was not an enjoyable experience, and I would like to not have anyone have to go through that again. It was traumatic. Okay, make sure that the version of the test that you're trying to do, the Compass software that you downloaded, matches the version of Illustrator that you downloaded. And if you don't know how to check that, I'll show you. Just hover over the icon and it'll tell you. See right there? It says Adobe Illustrator CC 2018. So I know this is the Adobe Illustrator 2018 version. So I need the matching Compass software that goes with this version. If that, for whatever reason, doesn't show up there, I'll show you another way to do it. You can go to your Finder window, Applications, and there you go. It'll tell you there in its name as well, okay? You can also right-click on the file. You can go to Get Info, and again, it's going to tell you right here. If you are in a Windows computer, unfortunately, I can't show you an example of it because I don't have a Windows computer here. I'm going to go to one of these files. Let's say one of these is the Compass software, okay? This one's the Compass software, let's say. If I right-click on it on a Mac, I can go to Get Info, and then it'll give me settings. Notice how one of them says read and write, one of them says read only and read only. I am going to want to make sure, in order for this software to work properly, that everything is read and write. I'm giving everything access. So I'm going to want to type in my password for the computer if your computer is password verified. And then you're going to need to make sure you hit the unlock button and change it to read and write. Okay, so you're giving access for these programs to use these softwares that you've downloaded correctly. All right, then you can lock it back up. All right, so that is basically what you're doing with all these files. All of these paths that you're going to, you're making sure that these folders are all open and they all have read and write access. I hope that makes sense. Please also make sure that the following Compass specific folders and their subfolders, ooh, this was annoying last year. You also have to go into every single folder's subfolder. So for example, okay, let's bring a folder up here. You got a folder, cool. Let's pretend that I'm using this document and I went here and that is this folder, okay? I'm gonna get info. Again, this might work a little differently on a Mac. I pop in my password if it's password protected. Hopefully yours won't be. And I gotta do read and write access on every single one of these things. Now, the folder in this, every single one of these folders, read and write access, read and write access, read and write access. I gotta go into these folders, these subfolders, and each thing read and write access, okay? That's what you gotta do for each one of these things. So some of these are like one folder, two folders. Some of these, I think this one is like 8 different folders, so it's a little annoying, but you gotta go in and unlock everything. All right, Compass logs. You're gonna see this one, _log. You're gonna create the GCO folder at this location if it does not exist. So how you're gonna do that is you go into computer/temp, and if there's no GCO folder, just hit new and type it in GCO. It'll have coding in it that it'll tell it to go to that folder. So you need the folder to exist for it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't already exist, you'll make it exist, okay? You'll create the folder for the program to find. Adobe CEP folder, okay? This is gonna be in computer, under users, under your username, under app data, roaming, Adobe CPE. What you're gonna do is create this CEP folder if it does not already exist. You'll just right click, hit new folder, title it CEP, okay? Registry paths. So you got registry paths here that you're going to be entering in. If you don't understand how to do any of this, if you are stuck with any of this, resources for technical support are listed down here, and they are really helpful. One of the cool things too is they can access the data on your computer. I think you just have to download a little program, and they can actually jump on the computer and do it for you. That was cool. Unlocking all those bad boys, making sure you have the paths. Here's also the paths for specifically Illustrator. Okay, application path. That's what you'll be typing in. If it's not there for some strange reason, you should be fine. I didn't have a problem with these at all last year, but check them. Make sure that they're good. Preferences and workspaces. There's your settings, your panel extensions. Unlock everything in all of these, okay? This tutorial is at the start of every exam, and it does not take your time away to go through and read it. So if you're feeling a little nervous, it's okay, go through it, read it. I don't think they changed too much about it from one year to the other, but do keep in mind, this is last year's test information, so some things might be changed, okay? Also notice this is for the 2018 software, so if you have 2019, it might look a little different. This exam has 2 sections, okay? One is multiple choice, fill in the blank. One is the actual test questions where it gives you a project in Adobe Illustrator, and then you do whatever it asks you to do. You will have 50 minutes to complete both sections. And trust me though, you need it all. You need all of it, so don't waste time, okay? First of all, you're always going to get a tutorial. Then the timer is going to start when you pass the tutorial and open up the window for the question. That's when the timer starts. Then tutorial will come again, timer stops, it pauses. Okay, you can read the whole tutorial, you can take your time, make sure you really understand what you're going to be doing. The second you move on, timer starts again, okay? You will see a section summary page that allows you to review only the questions in that section, which is kind of nice. It looks like this, okay? You'll be able to see each question, and if there's an answer you're just really kind of not sure about, it gives you a section where you can flag it so that you can come back later, which is really nice. So you'll see these little flags here of anything that you've marked to go back to, and then you can just click on that question that you want to go back to, and it'll automatically bring you back, but then it'll take you like back through all the questions. You might have to go next to get to the next one. Okay, you will not be able to revisit those questions after you submit section. The very first section that you're going to get is your multiple choice test questions. So you haven't gone into like the Adobe Illustrator windows yet where you're creating stuff. You're answering questions like different types of balance, symmetry, asymmetry, different workplace standards, different professionalism things. Like if you were to create a huge billboard and it's going to be outside for 4 months, what kind of material do you use? If you have a picture of a model, what kind of document do you need in order to publish the picture of that model? Probably a model release, you know? So you'll have questions kind of like that. There's not very many of them. There's actually less of those questions and more of the actual Illustrator questions. Your screen looks like this-ish, without all the writing on top and bottom. You're going to have the questions have controls on top and bottom of the screen to allow progress through the section. So you're going to be able to see you are on question whatever of question whatever. Okay, you're going to be able to see your time. And let's say these are going to be like little drag and drop sections that you can move to these sections, for example. Let's say you just get really confused and you're not sure what's what anymore. You can hit this button right here to reset the question back to the original way it was. And you can do that in the Adobe Illustrator questions as well, which is actually really nice. All right, so right here, you guys will see you can mark the question for review. If you're just really not sure about it, you can hit this button and mark it for review. And later on, when you go to this section, you'll see that little flag pop up because you marked it to check it back later. All right, you can also leave feedback. Maybe this question is really confusing and you don't like how they wrote it and you want to tell them, then that'll mark to leave feedback later. If either of those are good, you can just go ahead and you can hit next. Also, maybe this answer made you realize the last answer you gave was wrong. So you can always go back to a previous answer as well and fix it. Honestly, I wouldn't spend that much time on this section. I would spend as little time as possible on this section because the big points are in the next section. And remember, some of them are made to test your time management skills, okay? When you are done with a section, remember you cannot go back. So you'll have to submit section and that'll have to be good. It'll bring up Adobe Illustrator. Keep in mind, this test is going to block recording software. It's going to block internet access. It's going to basically block any program that is not Adobe Illustrator and itself to work. So keep that in mind. You'll just frustrate yourself, honestly. So here's the test question box. This is task 13 out of 19. Remember, some of them are super easy, some of them take more time. You have 58 minutes and 47 seconds, and I do not remember if this clock counts down or up. I feel like it's down. I feel like you see yourself running out of time. All right, so again, if you get confused, if you make a mess of the section, you can always hit the button that says reset task and bring everything back to how it was before you got confuzzled. You will have a starter document. They'll have whatever on earth it is, a picture, a drawing, a logo, whatever. It'll be there on the side, and then you'll have what you are expected to do. Keep in mind, this toolbar, sometimes last year when we were taking the test, for whatever reason, this toolbar was not there. And that really freaks some people out. But you know how to go back and get back to it, right? All you need to do is go to Window, go to Tools, and make sure Default is checked, and that bar will come back, okay? All right, so what they would like you to do in task number 3 is change the text on the Witty Islands, okay? And the Witty Islands layer to small caps and adjust the font size to 37 points. Okay, so how do you do that? Okay, pretty simple. You'll probably highlight Witty Islands. You'll go to Window. You'll make sure that you have that layer because it specifically says the word layer, and it specifically italicizes Witty Islands. All right, so you'll go to that layer. You'll go to your characters panel, make sure it's changed to small caps, and then you'll make the font size 37 points instead of whatever on earth it might be. Okay? When you're done with that, that's all they asked you to do. So you'll just hit next. If you can't remember how the heck to make things in small caps and you don't want to waste all your time doing that, then mark it for review, okay? Small caps is a setting. You're not just going to hit caps lock and type in the caps lock or anything like that. Almost all of the application functionality is available to you in each task. They do lock the search bar. And note, every single time you go and try to use it. So if you use that a lot, try not to. I never use it. Most of the time I forget that it's there. I usually just go on all these windows and I'm like, okay, which one has the thing I need? So you will also receive credit for any method of completion that meets the task requirements, okay? You know I love to use hotkeys. If you don't want to use hotkeys, you want to use all the top menus, it doesn't matter how you make it happen, just make it happen, okay? New features will be blocked during the exam. Open or help Adobe Bridge, Adobe Stock. I was kind of naughty last year. It was my first time doing the Illustrator exams for a class, and I decided to take screenshots of all the test answers so I would have a better idea of what kind of questions they ask for next year. It didn't let me do that. It blocked the screenshot camera, so it's a smart software. Okay, so the next part of this is working with the certification test panel. So I already told you guys, just in case this little toolbar goes away, you go to Window, you go to Tools, you go to Default, and there's your tool. I will tell you, it disappears every once in a while. Another thing that disappears every once in a while is this testing window. That was fun. Sometimes this testing window just randomly goes away. It, for some reason, wasn't on top. It glitches and something happens to it. So you won't see how much time you have, what they want you to do on that. You'll just have a picture and you won't have a clue what to do. And they do give you these in the instructions as well. So just in case you forget, it'll remind you. Just in case this window goes away, this white window that you see, your task panel, what you need to do is go to Window like you would with the toolbar, because this is another kind of toolbar, okay? So you're going to go to Window, Workspace, and Certification Tests. Okay, make sure that that is checked. Also make sure that Control is checked. What that'll do is it'll just make sure that that is there for you, okay? And it should pop right up. Important, do not reset any of the default workspaces. Doing so will cause the certification test panel to be removed from that workspace, okay? And then you'll have to go back, hit workspace, hit certification test, and hopefully it shows up. So don't reset the certification window. Lets you go back to a previous test question. Help is honestly not that helpful. It'll probably bring you to this screen that will tell you, what to do if you got rid of that workspace. Mark a question for review so you can come back and check it later. Remember how it'll set that flag. And leave feedback, okay? Horrible test question. I hated this. Why did you do this to me? I don't know. Feedback. And then next, italic indicates a part of the document or an asset. So if you're ever confused and you see something that is italicized, well, that means it's a specific asset or a thing within the document. Bold italic indicates text you type. This is something you program in, okay? Here are some guidelines to keep in mind. You only need to change the settings specified in the task. You don't need to do anything extra. If a setting value is not specified, keep the default value, okay? Don't make any additional changes to the starter document. It can be tempting sometimes. For example, only change layer names and groups if it requests you to do so. If you are asked to save or export a file, always save it at the default location, okay? Or the location specified on a task. Sometimes it will ask you to save something or export something. Do not navigate to other folders. Just it is programmed so that you put it in a specific place so that you get the points because it goes to that specific place. All right, again, we have a task section summary. After completing the final task, you will reach the section summary page. Each task that you marked for review is indicated with a flag. You can navigate to any task from this page, okay? Maybe you just want to go to 3, like boop, you can click 3 and it'll take you right to number 3. To return to this page from the task, you're going to select the section summary button. After you finish reviewing your tasks, select the finish section button. Use up every last second that you have. I mean, maybe you don't need it. Maybe you guys are so well prepared for this and you're good and you got everything. Cool. I went to the very last minute. So you're just going to click on the button that says finish section and you will immediately be giving feedback. So any of those test questions that you marked for feedback, you can go ahead and give them feedback at that time. Whether you marked anything for feedback or not, this page is still going to come up. Okay, when you're done, you can hit finish section and immediately you are going to know if you pass the Adobe certification exam or not. You will know if you are good to go or if we need to practice again and then do a retake in a couple days. So what you will see, the required score is a 700 out of 1,000. So basically a 70%. You'll see your score, all right? How close were you to that? Where you just, even if you are 700 exactly, you are certified, okay? 701, you are certified. 699, no dice. It will then give you a breakdown of your different sections. How well did you do? All right, section analysis, working in the design industry, those questions about like business relationships and scope and sequence of design, they'll give you a score. Project setup and interface, all right, were you able to save documents correctly, put them in the correct area, do any of the setup calls that they asked you to do, organizing documents, creating and modifying visual effects, so going in and actually changing things they asked you to change in Illustrator, and publishing digital media, okay, when you had to like export something. Just take a screenshot of this puppy and then send it to me when you are complete, and then you exit exam, and that is it. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, it is very, very worth it. And once you have it set up once, well, then it's easy the next time because you already did all of this crazy coding and whatnot. I hope that this was helpful, guys, and feel free to have me on screen while you're going and you're doing all of your registration and your planning stuff. I wish you all of the luck in the world. Your vouchers are coming to you in just a couple days. I have 4 ready right now, and I'm just waiting on the rest, okay? So in the meantime, study up. Go on to YouTube and get some points of views from other people that have taken the test. Some of the questions that they have, they might be different. Anything will make you more well-rounded and ready to take the exam. All right, well, thank you so much for hanging in with me and taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you later. Bye.